Hello, everyone. This will be a sad stream. It will be a unstructured stream, but Michael Brooks, at the age of 36, has died. If you don't know who Michael Brooks is, he is a left-wing political commentator here on YouTube. He hosted a show every Tuesday night. Actually, it would be going on right now as I'm filming this. And he died very suddenly yesterday. And it was just a shock to everyone. He also co-hosted on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar. He was a co-host. And they did a 4-hour show today of, taking people's calls and stuff. And it was just very difficult, but very cathartic to watch. So if you watched Michael Brooks, I would watch that because it was amazingly heartfelt. Michael was a world-class political commentator. I'm doing the New York Times vlog now, as you guys know, and I'm talking about their opinion writers. Some I'm like, oh, well, they're okay. Some I'm like, oh, they're horrible. And then, the top tier, I've called it the Jamal Bowie tier because that's the most, certainly, he's very brilliant, Jamal Bowie, and he's the best writer that they have for sure. Michael Brooks is Jamal Bowie tier. Just how knowledgeable he is, how focused he is on helping workers and helping the poor and helping the lower middle class and the middle class and trying to unite people internationally. He would always talk about some random stuff going on in a small area of Indonesia where miners were getting exploited or something, or South America. No one knew South American politics better. In my own personal life, I know someone who immigrated here from Uruguay, and her parents were actually, one was a musician in Uruguay during the military dictatorship in Uruguay, and her mom, I think, was a teacher. I could be wrong about that, but they were both in positions that strongly got regulated by the military dictatorship. Her dad would get put in prison for doing performances that the government didn't like or that were critical of the government in any way. And I had no idea about any of this. And she was like, this guy, though, Pepe Mojica, he was the best. He became president, but he led the fight against the military dictatorship in Uruguay. And I'm like, I'll look up this guy's Wikipedia page. Literally, 2 days later, Michael Brooks is like, you know who we have to look at, you know who we have to talk about and use him as a model, Pepe Mojica. And I'm like, this is incredible. He just knows everything. And not only does he know everything, but there's a difference between knowing every public statement that the CIA has made in the last 5 years. There are people who just know facts like that or whatever. Michael Brooks not only will know that, he will tell you which ones are total garbage, total fabrications, why they're total fabrications, and just everything like that. I think Nomiki Kant said on the Majority Report today, he sniffs out the bullshit better than anyone else. Pardon the French, but yeah, I mean, I'm a booktuber, and I'm like, wow, this guy's at a different class than I am when it comes to reading stuff. Oh man, it's crazy. Another thing that us booktubers, us people who read and write fantasy talk about and think about a lot, and just writing in general, I guess, but you don't want to talk down to your audience. It's a common thing that you hear authors and reviewers say. And there's that sort of thing within politics as well. A few months ago, during the Democratic primary, We had Nina Turner talking to Jason Johnson on MSNBC. And Jason Johnson, I mean, obviously, he's a pretty much a centrist hack, but for lack of a better term, he was taking issue with the Bernie Sanders campaign using the word oligarchy. And he's like, people don't know what oligarchy is. People's eyes gloss over whatever. Like when they call Bloomberg an oligarch. And it's like, people understand what that means. Sure, some people won't, but you can absolutely respect the American people enough to use big words some of the time. I don't think that's like too difficult to do. And Jason Johnson's like whining and groaning about all this. It wasn't that he was like, oh, they're incorrect. It's like, oh, I don't think it's like projective and it's like too like blah, 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 liberal elite. And it's like, no, dude, oligarchy is not a liberal word. I mean, liberals are almost by definition in favor of oligarchy. At least some amount of oligarchy, but whereas like leftists like Brooks or socialists, like they're very anti-oligarchy. But I'm digressing. But Brooks took like the Sanders campaign and their like strategy. I don't even know if it was a conscious strategy by their campaign of not talking down to the American people to like the next level. So, for example, there was like a study in 2016. Trump talked at like a 3rd grade level. Clinton talked at like a 6th grade level or something. And Sanders talked at like an 11th grade level in terms of vocabulary words, right? So, and Brooks would have been like, some of the time he was at a college level. But the concepts he was talking about resonate so much with just regular working people that, it broke through. And we can, kind of theorize, okay, why did the messaging break through? What resonated with people? What brought people to Michael Brooks and the Michael Brooks Show? Why did it resonate with workers and young people? And it was always his core tenet, I guess you could say, of solidarity, international solidarity. That's what the messaging was about. You could be a worker in Western Mass, but if you Michael Brooks is talking about workers getting exploited in 1960s Michigan or 1920s West Virginia, or in Brazil's military dictatorship that Lula helped to overthrow, that would resonate with someone who's a worker. If he talked about poverty, that resonates with people who need help or grew up poor. And, like the contrast between that and, I did a video about Bret Stephens. It should go up tomorrow. And we looked at the Bret Stephens articles, not all of them, not in detail. I focused on one of them, but from the last month, Stephens had 6 op-ed articles. 5 of them were about either statues or things that will not resonate with workers on a personal level in any way. And I'm like, man, that's such a low percentage. Only one of your articles like resonates, and like I'm being even generous to that one article. And it's like, come on, man. Like the Michael Brooks Show, it was almost the opposite. And when he didn't talk about, workers' struggles, internationally and globally, and like on like that 1 in 6 video where he's not talking about that, Brooks would just be talking about something else and being just so positive about it. He might be talking about spirituality or something, or he might be talking about like 90s rap, and he would be adding positivity to the world. He might be talking about the state of comedy with David Feldman or something. He just had like such a wide range of knowledge too, and he was so intellectually curious that everything was in his range. It was just incredible. One last thing about Brooks. The man was hilarious. And oh my gosh, he would do these impressions and they were unbelievable. And like how does anyone think about some of these impressions? One was a Muslim Brotherhood Barack Obama impression. So basically he would like kind of satirize like crazy right-wingers who would fearmonger about Obama, who would say things like, oh, he'll make us like a Muslim nation or whatever. And like people who listen to Obama, he's a Harvard dude, like he's no different than like a white dude that went to Harvard. So he would do like this impression and it would be like, we will imprison all the whites and implement Sharia law, Allahu Akbar. Oh my God, that was my best attempt at it. I'll link a video of Michael Brooks's impressions. Oh, and then there was one where the day of or the day after Nelson Mandela died, Rick Santorum was comparing himself to Nelson Mandela and his fight against Obamacare to Nelson Mandela's fight against apartheid in South Africa. And, everyone's was grieving and mourning the loss of one of the greatest Marxist heroes in this world's history, Nelson Mandela. And it's just, Rick Santorum, who was, I don't want to attack the guy, but he ain't even close to Nelson Mandela. Let's just leave it at that. Like, everyone's trying to mourn Mandela. This guy's being a clown. And Michael Brooks, just like on the fly, comes up with a right-wing Mandela impression, which I cannot do the impression. I do not have the skills, but that's what I will clip and put at the end right now. Also, the Bernie Bro Bill Clinton impression, oh my God, that was so funny. And then like Rand Paul, constitutional. That's like an old one at this point. But yeah, anyway, rest in peace, rest in power, Michael Brooks. You were influential to many. You were influential to me when I think about what I want to do with this channel, how I want to influence people. I don't want to be like a minor Twitter celebrity or something. I want to improve the world. That is why I'm doing this. That's why I started the channel. Yes, like, I don't know. I've got like a jovial side too. I want to talk about fantasy books, but it's more than that. Michael Brooks showed, I think, everyone he came in contact with that it's more than that. This sort of community building. And, booktubers do this all the time where, they always say, like, the best part about booktube is the people you meet and making friends. And I think in many ways, Michael Brooks took that to, like, the nth degree in definitely a different section of YouTube. But that's why it's so inspiring to me. And as someone who's not super socially, aggressive, I mean, he's not aggressive, but like, he's like, so kind-hearted and he'll talk to anyone and he'll check in on you and he'll learn from you. He'll listen to anyone. And, that is what I take inspiration from. So without further ado, here's some Michael Brooks impressions. I don't even know what video I'm going to play, but we're just going to watch some Michael Brooks videos and see which ones seem the funniest. And there will be a link to more impressions in the comments and the 4-hour Majority Report, their 4-hour show today where they honored and remembered Michael Brooks. But yeah, here's a clip from 2015 of Michael Brooks doing a Nelson Mandela impression on Sam Seder's Majority Report.
Sam, I am troubled by a lack of seriousness in the GOP field that I see.
Really?
All of these candidates are true patriots who clearly would like to save America from the destructive liberal socialist tendencies of President Obama. However, I see a lack of seriousness when it comes to foreign policy and family values that is lacking in the field.
Really? What is it that you feel is lacking specifically?
I think, as I say, a measure of seriousness when it came to foreign policy and a willingness to confront the Islamic threat. See, many people don't recognize, Sam, that there is evil in the world.
No, I think people, I think that's probably
And I think
true.
if you look at my
You don't think that the Republican
experience set and skills that I bring to the table, as I
So wait a
continue,
second. Are you suggesting that you,
I know
right-wing Nelson Mandela, are going to run for the Republican primary nomination?
I know that liberal hosts like to interrupt and be disrespectful, and I will be painted into a corner. Comments I made about Buju Banton being correct about gay people will be distorted. All sorts of things will come my way. But I have received a message from God saying that I must run.
So God
So it is today that I am announcing later that I will formally create an exploratory committee to see if a run could be what this country needs to save it from creeping socialism.
Wow.
An open border and terrorists at our front door who do no longer believe in American strength.
It is. Breaking news. Right-wing Nelson Mandela has announced that later today he will announce that he's going to announce an exploratory committee.
An exploratory, that is correct. God has told me to fill out the waters.